Point-slope form is another form of a linear equation. So point-slope form comes from the slope formula, which is m equals y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. So if you can see that, if you multiply both sides by x2 minus x1, this side would cancel out, or the x2 minus x1 would cancel out on the right hand side, and then the left hand side you're going to get m times the quantity x2 minus x1 equals y2 minus y1. That's essentially point-slope form right here. So what you're going to do is you're going to plug in the specific point x1, y1 right here and the specific slope. So example 1, write an equation in point-slope form and then graph it on the coordinate grid. So if your slope is 1/2 and your point is 1, -4, notice how there's subtraction signs. So you're doing the opposite of y1 and the opposite of x1. So opposite would be, if this is a positive number, then it's going to be a negative number in the equation. If this is a negative number, then it's going to be a positive number in the equation. So using this formula, it's going to be y minus 1 equals the slope, which is 1/2, times the quantity x. Then I'm going to write plus 4 because I have made these quantities opposite according to the equation. So then what I do to graph, what you can do is just start at the point. So I'm going to start at this point, 1, -4. I'm going to go write 1 down 4, make a point. So it's down here. And then my slope is 1/2. So from this point, I'm going to go up 1, right 2, and make a dot. Or down 1, left 2. And then connect, and there's my line. So letter B, I'm going to write my equation, which is y minus 3 equals the slope, which is -1, times the quantity x. Now this is a -2, so I'm going to write plus 2. So to graph it, I'm going to start at the point, -2, 3. So with my coordinates, I'm going to go left 2, down 3, make a dot. And my slope is -1, so I'm going to go up 1, left 1, or down 1, right 1. Ooh, I think I got way off on that. And then I connect. Second part, write an equation in point-slope form that passes through the given set of points. So if you're given 2 points and you have to write it in point-slope form, point-slope means that we need 1 point and the slope. So we need to find the slope between these 2 points first. So what you're going to do is do y2 minus y1. So it's 12 minus 8 over 2 minus 4. So this is 4 over -2. So the slope is -2. Then you can pick whichever point that you want to. You can either use this point or this point to write it in point-slope form. So I'm going to use this point. So it's going to be y minus 8, remember because I had to make that 8 negative, equals my slope, which is -2 times x minus 4. So if you're given 2 points, you have to write it in point-slope form. The first thing you need to do is find the slope, and then do what you did up above. So over here I'm going to write it in point-slope form. First I have to find the slope, so I do 2 minus 5 over -3 minus 0. So that's -3 over -3, which is 1. So slope is 1. So then I write my equation using either point. So I'm going to pick this point. So it's going to be y minus 5. This was a positive 5. This is going to be -5. Equals my slope, which is 1, times x minus 0. then down here, write an equation of a line in point slope form. So if you have to write it in point slope form, there's a ton of different answers that you can have because you can pick any point along the line. So I'm going to pick 2 points that are on the grid lines. So my point is 1, 1, and my slope is I'm going up to right 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So my slope is 2/5. So my equation is going to be y minus 1 equals the slope, which is 2/5, times x minus 1. And then b, my slope is down 3, right 2, down 3, right 2. So slope is negative 3/2. And my point is 1, 2. So my equation is going to be y minus 2 equals negative 3/2 times x minus 1. So looking at all 3 forms together, you should be able to go back and forth among the 3. So if I'm given 2 points and I have to go at the very bottom write in standard form, this is kind of the step-by-step process that you do. So first you find the slope. So my slope is 3 minus 2 over 1 minus 2. So this is negative 1. Then I'm going to write it in point slope form. So I'm going to pick one of these points. I'm actually going to pick the 2, 2 and do y minus 2 equals negative 1, because that's my slope, times x minus 2. Then I'm going to take this equation and write it in slope-intercept form. So slope-intercept form means I need to solve for y and do the distributive property. So I'm going to do y minus 2, and I'm going to do the distributive property. So this turns into negative x plus 2, because a negative 1 times a negative 2 is a positive 2. I still need to solve for y by adding 2 to each side. So my equation in slope-intercept form is y equals negative x plus 4. Then, to write in standard form, I need to make sure that standard form is ax plus by equals c, where a, b, and c are integers. So I'm going to have to clear fractions if I had fractions. And I also want to get x and y on the same side. So I'm just going to add x to each side. So my equation is going to be x plus y equals 4. And then I don't need to clear fractions, so I'm done. So I'm going to do the same process over here. I'm going to find the slope. So the slope is 16 minus 11 over 6 minus 8, which is 5 over negative 2, or negative 5/2. Then I'm going to pick a point and write it in point slope form. So it's going to be y minus 11, because I had to make the y opposite, equals negative 5/2, because that's my slope, times x minus 8. So part C, when I write it in slope-intercept form, I need to do the distributive property, and then I need to clear fractions. So I'm going to have y minus 11 equals negative 5/2 times x is negative 5/2 x. Negative 5/2 times negative 8 is going to be a positive, and when you multiply negative 5/2 times negative 8, you're multiplying the numerators, which is going to be 40, and you're dividing by 2, so that's going to be plus 20. So I still need to add 11. So in slope-intercept form, it's y equals negative 5/2 x plus 31. Now my last step is to write it in standard form. So standard form, I want to get x and y on the same side. So I'm going to add 5 halves x. So it's going to be 5 halves x on this side, positive, because you added it, plus y equals 31. But remember, the coefficients as well as the constant have to be not fractions. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to clear fractions by multiplying both sides by 2, because that's my denominator. So my answer is going to be 5x plus 2y equals 62.